What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here and we are taking a look at the Domination Station Optimizer and a setup for NFL Week 10. So, for those of you who are joining me live, one of the things we're going to take a look at are a couple of new features we've added to the Domination Station for this week. Nothing super crazy, but we got a couple of new features more focused around total ownership, as our research has shown that tournament winning lineups tend to be under about 150% total ownership. So we now have the ability to limit that in our runs here. Guys, let me know if you're getting any sort of, issues with the speed of, or just the live stream itself, because I'm seeing a little bit of slowness here on the screen. So I just want to make sure. And again, so we've got a couple new features that we're going to go over here with the Domination Station. And then, of course, we're going to set up our lineups for this week and try to get try to show you how to set up correlated stacked NFL lineups for week 10. And I'm just kind of getting my screen ready to roll here so that we are good to go. Now, if you guys have any questions along the way, this is very, very important. You can pop them right in the chat. I am watching those questions. So just pop them in there. Let me know if you got a question, a comment, anything about the slate, about how to use the Domination Station, whatever it is. Let me know. I was actually just looking over Burns's Millie Maker article, so I would like any of your input on that. As we make these lineups, we'll make them together. If you got player suggestions you want to go over, great. So let's get started, everyone. The first thing I always do when I'm setting, so actually, let's start by just taking a look at the new options that we have on the Domination. It's just it's two things here. Number one, and this is the big one, projected ownership cap. So this slider right here now allows you to set a max limit to projected ownership in your lineups. Now, one of the things I suggest is to first start by running a bunch of lineups before you actually start doing that. So let me show you an example here. I'll just run 30 because, first of all, how do you know what projected total ownership you should have in your lineup? Now, we know that tournament winning lineups in the Millie Maker have fallen this season between 85 to about 130%. That's a little bit of a tight range, so I might go like 150%. But the first thing I really want to do is just kind of see what happens if I just run it with no special limitations. What are the total ownership projections we're getting? So let's just run a bunch of the lineups and see, because if everything is 200, 220, and we start limiting it down to 125, we're going to get some weird looking lineups. So here you go. If I just run the Domination Station raw, the first lineup shows 180% total projected ownership. Here's 164 and 168. So most of the lineups are coming in around 160, 170, 175. There they are. So that's sort of the baseline that I like to get a sense of it. How much chalk is there on this slate? How much ownership can we withstand? These numbers are definitely telling me that about 150, maybe even 140 is probably where we want to be. There's an extremely chalk player, Mike Davis, that's like driving up ownership across the board here. And we don't want so much chalk in our lineups. I don't want to be that chalky. I ain't taking a Millie Maker down with the same lineup that everybody else is using. So that's good to know. The other new feature that we have is force at least X amount of players under X amount of ownership in each lineup. And again, we've noticed that most Millie Maker winner lineups have at least 2 or 3 spots under 10% and usually 1 or 2 spots under 5% owned. So I'm going to set this to 3. And the reason I'm going to do 3 players under 10% is mainly because when we were creating this, I didn't figure out that most quarterbacks and defenses are under 10. So like setting that almost does nothing. Therefore, I'm going to set it to 2 because I'm seeing here Kyler Murray, at least the chalkiest quarterback is a little bit over 10%, and he's a guy I'm going to have a lot of exposure to. So I think this will do. Every lineup here, though, if I just scroll through it without using that setting, almost every lineup has less than 10% ownership anyway in 3 spots. So it's really not going to do anything at this moment. I'm just looking through. See, notice 1, 2. There's 1, 2 spots under 10. Yeah, I'm not loving it. See, there's 3. I don't know that this is going to do anything. So more importantly than this one is definitely the total ownership projection, and we could set that at some point. We'll set it at about 150, but I don't want to do that yet. How do I feel about Chubb? All right, good question, Adrian. And here's the deal. We've seen a lot of players come off injury and just come out and smash. So Chubb is in a smash spot. The question is, will they give him a heavy workload or not? I've seen too many. I think the field is scared to play him, which in tournaments makes me want to play him. In other words, the field being scared of him, just like I said this last week with Christian McCaffrey, the field was scared to play Christian McCaffrey. That made me want to play him because you're going to get him at lower ownership. I don't actually know if he'll be restricted or not. How the hell would I know? But what I know is, all right, the field is going to be probably too low on a player, and that's more important to me than if the player will actually do well. I don't know. But what I know is if I can get leverage on the field by playing a guy that no one wants to play in a smash spot, and if he does go off, great. I'm going to get him at low ownership. Let's see what Chubb's ownership is, 6%. I mean, that's something we want to play. Want to play that. Kareem Hunt, 2%. I like Chubb more. Chubb is generally better than Hunt, but Chubb is basically Derrick Henry. He needs to destroy the slate. So I'm not going to have, he needs to run. He doesn't get passing game work, and he has to score a bunch of touchdowns. And so, yeah, I want some Chubb. Sure. I want these low-owned guys. Running back position's really weird this week. Actually, let's go through the position groups here and just kind of uncheck the players we don't want at all and bring back in. This is the first thing I always do. Guys, get me a injury update on Hawkinson. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. We really like Jesse James as a super punt. Yeah, my man, Cleveland. Scott, what are they saying, man? Are they saying he's fully healthy and getting a full workload? They can't be too happy with what Kareem Hunt has done the last few weeks. What I'm doing here is I unchecked all of the tight ends. I'm starting each position group. I unchecked them all by clicking this box right here. Now I'm going through each tight end and just checking back in anybody who I'm willing to use in lineups. I'm willing to use most of them, apparently, because I'm checking a lot of them back in. Robert Tonyan. Fine. We have some super cheap, Jacob Hollister types. Trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. Guys, let me know if I have any tight ends that we were talking about this week that I didn't put in here. Yeah, maybe Jesse James. Maybe. All right, let's do defense here. Defense, it's really important to filter through. Just get all these different horrible defenses. We're going to allow Steelers, Packers, Eagles for sure, Bucks, of course. The Giants are one of my favorites this week. Bills at Cardinals, no. Yes to Lions. Yes to the Raiders. Just Broncos give up a lot of points to opposing teams. Texans, no. Broncos, no. Seahawks, no. 49ers, no. Rams. All right, there we go. Cleveland local report. Play a lot of Chubb. There you go. That's the answer. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm just setting up my player pool a little bit. I'm going through each position group. The reason I'm doing this is just I don't need a million players. Here, it's very important to note that even if players, just because a player is in your player pool, doesn't mean that you're going to use them. Like just having somebody checked doesn't mean they're going to show up in a lineup. I'm not going to check Chase Edmonds, by the way. He's only somebody we want to play if Kenyon Drake is out, sadly, but I love him if Kenyon Drake is out. Boston Scott is a no. Man, can we play Henderson in this matchup? No one's talking about him. I'm going to leave him in. Antonio Gibson. These are some, long shot type of plays, tournament only, but I'm going to get a little bit of exposure to them because why not? Even Zach Moss. I want things that aren't exactly the chalk. I want to have some opportunities to be off the chalk. Somebody asked me about DJ Dallas. Do we know if Chris Carson is even playing this week? Looks like he's out. I don't know what's going on with the backfield for the Seahawks. I really don't know what's going on there. I'm not comfortable with the play. Kalen Ballage, wouldn't it be nice if we can know that this guy was going to be the guy, but we don't. Duke Johnson, yes. J.D. McKissick, fine. And the big one, Mike James. We'll talk about him. Yeah, Carson's out. Why aren't we on DJ Dallas? Yeah, Robinson's. I mean, he's in my pool. So I mean, you guys saw it. I'm allowing Robinson in the player pool. I don't love Robinson. If you look at we want favored running backs for the most part, and I think maybe the reason we don't like DJ Dallas is because the Rams defense is really good. Yeah, Robinson's playable, and he's in a good matchup in the sense that the Packers are bad against the run, but the Packers are monster favorites in that game. So I'm just worried about how much usage he's going to get, which is one of the reasons why I was just not high on the guy. This is the wide receiver group. Again, I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to allow almost every wide receiver. Wide receiver is a really volatile position. Like a Will Fuller, I don't think I want to do this wind game Will Fuller situation, so I'm going to be off of that. He wouldn't have shown up in lineups anyway. He's not projected well. I would be off of that. Fulgham, I'm off of him. Fulgham, I assume the Robinson. Oh, I assume the Robinson is James Robinson from the Jaguars. That's who I was talking about. Yeah, Salvin Ahmed. I'm not playing that dude. Yeah, I'm not playing that dude. So Travis Fulgham, I'm not playing because if you look at the articles, the stuff we put out, the Giants are actually elite versus WR1 and very bad versus WR2, 3, and tight end. So we want to avoid Fulgham, play Rager and Goddard here instead. I don't use players against the Steelers. That's just a no. I'm going to leave Evans and the whole Tampa crew in here. I'm going to leave in Chark as well. Robbie Anderson, sure, why not? Godwin, yes, I'm going to leave these guys because we'll have some stacks based around Tom Brady. Chase Claypool, I like a little bit. Antonio Brown, yeah, I'm going to play him. Brandon Ayuk, I like. Brandon Cook's got the win situation happening. Don't love that, but we'll leave him in the player pool. Mike Williams probably going to get Xavier Howard coverage. That's not for me. John Brown, I like. Here, Deontay Johnson, as you know, I love. So I'm going to leave him in there. DJ Moore is too cheap here. Devontae Parker. Can it squeeze in a little Sterling? Yeah, why not? Now we start to get under 5K. The pickings get slimmer for me. I don't like a lot of this. Over here, Jalen Rager. I guess Alan Lazard is playable. This is where I can really eliminate some people. Josh Reynolds, as you guys know, I like a lot. He's so underowned, 3%. That's crazy if that happens. Let's see here. Keelan Cole, 0%. No. You want to play some David Moore? Fine. This is you leave if you're going to stack a quarterback, you want to leave I don't think Josh Norman is out. On the Cardinals, he is out, but Josh Norman sucks. So it helps no one. He's terrible. It doesn't make a difference. But in this Cardinals game, you would expect that Tre'Davious White will be on Diggs, which will leave John Brown open for whoever the hell is playing that spot, and a little more Cole Beasley. Oh, on the Cardinal side, it's Christian Kirk. That's right. So Tre'Davious White will be on DeAndre Hopkins, which leaves Christian Kirk kind of open against whoever the not Tre'Davious White cornerback is. So yeah, it's Christian Kirk. Good one. Tampa Bay defense has smashed this week. They have a great matchup. So I like Tampa for sure. Did I uncheck them? I uncheck you. Did I leave Tampa in? Did I take them out? Yeah, we like Tampa. Yeah, for sure. We like Tampa. Definitely like Tampa. All right, let's go back to the wide receiver position, get it done. There is still a player here that I'm missing that's a very important player on this slate. So Jalen Reagor I like a lot. Josh Reynolds, David Moore, sure, because we're going to have some Russell Wilson stacks. We got to get a little David Moore. Gaby Davis, we're building stacks around Josh Allen. So you want these like super turds from these teams at least allowed to be in lineups if they find their way in there. Let's see if anybody else stands out. Mac Hollins. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And my boy, Jakeem Grant, who, for whatever reason, does not have a ownership projection, but should be very high owned as he is one of the best values on the slate. All right, there we go. That's our setup, guys. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy's in play as well. Listen, he broke out last week, had the debutante ball. We love Jeudy. Jeudy's a great actual football player in real life, and there's no one on the Raiders who can really guard him. So I like Jerry Jeudy quite a bit. I'm not sure if I want to go back to, I'm not sure if I want to go back to Drew Lock in too many lineups, but yeah, Jerry Jeudy's got a check mark. He's playing. This whole group is like, John Brown, Jeudy, Brandon Cooks, the Wind, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk. These are all good plays. There's a lot of good plays at wide receiver. I like wide receiver a lot better than quarterback, and I'm going to show you a little trick I'm going to do, which is I'm going to play a lot more wide receiver in the flex. Since I don't like tight end, here's what I'm going to do here. This window right here, you can basically decide how much of each position group to allow in the flex. I'm going to zero out tight end. I don't use tight ends, and I'm only going to use 30% running back in the flex. So my mass multi-entry is going to basically be loaded up with wide receiver in the flex. A big reason I'm doing this is because most people play running back in the flex, so this makes it more unique. Plus, we've seen time and time again, think about what we do in showdowns. What do we do in showdowns? In showdowns, we always target pass catchers at the captain because they tend to score more and they put up the points quicker. But for some reason, we all want to, in mass multi-entry, are throwing running backs in there because they have the higher floor. Yeah. So let's put in our MME, in our 150, let's use wide receivers in there. They win a lot, and it makes your lineup more unique. It's everything we want. Scott, so you're asking, I'm a FanDuel guy. On FanDuel, there's a little bit more. Think about the showdowns on FanDuel. On FanDuel, we're going to favor running backs a little bit more because those touchdowns are so critical. So on FanDuel, I would tend to use a running back there. On DraftKings, I think the right move is to use wide receivers in the flex. So, Joe, no, not FanDuel. On FanDuel, again, I want to leave that to running backs mostly. On DraftKings is where I don't feel like I need to play running backs. As a matter of fact, I just think it's a sharper DFS MME play to use wide receivers there. You will find wide receivers at 5K, 5,500 who go off for 25 points. There may not be any running backs who even come near that. And that's what the story of the season. As a matter of fact, fuck this. I'm going down to 20%. You know what? I'm convincing myself here. Now, what do I think of Lenny Fournette? I think, he's an RBBC situation in a great matchup, and he's worth a shot. He's worth putting in some lineups. but I would love him if he was the only guy getting the touches. But since there's a Ron Jones Jr. there and you have to split touches, it's a problem. I usually don't target players against the Steelers. It's just been a thing. Now, I don't know why their secondary would start to soften. I think they were on the road last week and they had a tough game. I think that the Steelers play down to their level of their opponent and they're just worse on the road. But maybe that's all bullshit. And we definitely saw Dallas put some points up on them, but I'm not going away from what I think, which is it's too scary to play wide receivers against the Steelers for me. That's not where I'm going with it. I don't think that team is going to score enough. Now, one of the things I learned from Burns' Millie Maker article every week is just about, we want favored quarterbacks, favored running backs. But wide receiver doesn't really matter as much. Wide receiver can just go off at any time. So that's the formula. Favored tight ends. Favored defenses. Yeah, anytime you get these divisional rivalries, games go a little bit weird. I don't know. It could be. You know what? Stack it. That's a silly for the Millie approach. I always say, if you have an inkling, by the way, DG, if you have an inkling that game's going to shoot out, I'm begging, stack it. Because here's the worst thing that happens. You say this, and maybe Kevin goes like, I go like, I'm not too into it. And then you're like, all right, fuck that, right? And you don't do it. And then it goes off. You're like, fuck, man, I got talked out of something I really wanted to do. If you have an idea, if you have an inkling about something, I learned this from Bobby Wow. See, I learned from a lot of people around me. I learned this one from Bobby Wow. Bobby Wow says player hunch. That's one of the big things that Bobby Wow always says. Player hunch. If you have a hunch, play it. Make sure that if your hunch is right, that you benefit. The worst thing is when your hunch is right and you're like, I told you so. Well, did you make a lineup? No. Well, I told you so. That doesn't feel that good. Make a fucking lineup. Don't just say I told you so. Make a fucking lineup. Alshon Jeffrey, his first game back after like a multi-year injury is a no-go for me. This is very different than all these other players returning from injury. I'm not doing that. Especially in what could be some weather conditions in New York. Guys, get me a weather report for New York for tomorrow, by the way. What's the story? Eagles stack and chalk up Bills with an Ingram. Yeah, I'm okay with. I don't know if I want to play Wentz, but I like a couple of pieces from the Eagles, and I like Ingram, all individually. Those are all good plays. But I don't know if I'm obsessed with. All right, I'm going to show you a little technique here about what we're going to do because I've already said I'm obsessed with Kyler Murray, right? And I want some Kyler Murray naked stacks and some Kyler Murray stacked stacks. Windy and rain possible. Rager, yeah, I like Rager. Rager is my guy. Your hunch is Jaguars, Green Bay. Green Bay loses. All right. Play it. If you think Green Bay is going to lose, you want to play Robinson, you want to play DJ Chark, and you want to play Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones because if Green Bay is behind, they're fucking scoring like crazy, and Devontae Adams is going bananas. As a matter of fact, since I just brought that up, right? What's the scenario where Devontae Adams has the best possible game? We all want to play Devontae Adams. He's a GOAT. What's the scenario where he has the best game? It's if the Jaguars are scoring too. So if you play Devontae and you're doing it in tournaments and you want to kind of make it special, play James Robinson in that lineup or play DJ Chark in that lineup because that's the best case scenario for Devontae Adams. Snow in Green Bay. That is good for Jones. I already love Jones. Can't love Jones any more than I already do. Anyone a lock for tomorrow? Yes, Kyler Murray. Just play Kyler. That's a lock. There's never a lock in NFL, but Kyler's pretty close to a lock. Snow in Green Bay. Jones week. Snow is not as actually affecting NFL football as wind and rain is. I'd much rather have snow than wind or rain. Like, you ever play football in the snow? It's fun. I've done it. Of course, we all have done it. It's not that hard. It's not even that slippery because snow is just not as wet as rain. If I try to play football in the snow right now, I'd be injured in 5 seconds. Is Murray too chalky for tournament? I'm going to show you some. Damn dirty ape. I'm going to show you some techniques where you can make be unique with Kyler. And no, he is not too chalky for tournaments. No. As a matter of fact, how is this too chalky? Look, 13%. No quarterback is ever owned that much in a tournament. You can always play the quarterbacks. Jones, Davis. That's your chalk starting line. That's your chalk pair of running backs. We're going to talk about all these guys. Let's get to setting up our stacks, guys. I'm doing a lot of talking and very little Domination Station setup, and you guys are hating me. So here's a little trick. Normally we have this universal rule that says stack QB with at least one of WRTE, include a secondary stack, right? I'm turning that off. And the reason I'm turning that off is because for my MME for tomorrow, I'm going to have some stack Kyler Murray lineups, game stacks and team stacks, but I'm also going to run some naked Kyler, and those are going to be my sexy favorite lineups. Okay? So how do I accomplish this? You'll see. You'll see. Okay? Don't get too excited. You'll see. The first thing we got to do, see, what I'm going to do, I'll tell you how I'm going to accomplish it, actually. The way I'm going to accomplish it is when I'm setting up my stacks with quarterback, forced game stacks and team stacks, if I'm making 150, I'll go up to like 120, and then I'm going to leave 30 spots out of my 150 unaccounted for. And I'm going to make sure that those are all Kyler Murray naked stacks. You think that DJ Dallas is part of the value? That's really interesting. I haven't been on DJ Dallas at all. I don't know why. I'm hearing it. Maybe I want to do it. Yeah, I did hear about Jair Alexander getting hurt. So, that does help DJ Shark. And, okay. DJ Shark, Devontae Adams. Shark's priced up. Robinson. DJ Shark's having a good game. Robinson's having a good game. So, maybe we'll build some stacks around that game. Game stacks. That's where, how does Aaron Rodgers go off? Let's make an Aaron Rodgers game stack as we're talking about it. Okay, so let's think about it. How does Aaron Rodgers go off? Now, we know that Aaron Rodgers likes to throw to Devontae Adams. Actually, let's get Lazard in there too. Get Lazard in there too. Let's allow him. So you notice, look what happened. I checked him back into the player pool. We go up here, and Lazard is now available. There's a random wide receiver. Man, there's a lot of wide receivers under 6K to go off tomorrow, DG. Check my sheet. I love a lot of them. Deontay Johnson, I'm all over that. Lazard is out? He's not playing? Let me know for sure. Jakeem Grant is a great value. He's one of the best values on the slate. Anderson or DJ, they both went off last time to play Tampa. Yeah. Now there's Curtis Samuel part of the mix. Could be any one of them. I don't know which one. He's not playing. Okay. Let's uncheck Lazard. I uncheck you, and I just unfriend you as well. So let's get back to this, right? I don't care that much about Lazard in the stack. What happens? Let's do 10 Aaron Rodgers lineups, right? Now, what's the scenario where Aaron Rodgers does enough to actually beat out Kyler Murray? Not easy for him to do that because Kyler Murray is a fucking goat and it's the same salary. Well, it could happen if these guys are going off as well. DJ Shark, James Robinson. So what I'm going to do is give him a little correlation boost. We're going to raise up the projections for all of these guys. And let's see what happens. Let's run 10 lineups around Aaron Rodgers and watch what happens here. You're going to get intense game stacks, right? Okay. Yeah, Josh Reynolds, super value. Yes, you're on it. You're correct. I love Josh Reynolds. We're talking about him all week. Now, let's take a look at what these lineups look like that we just built. Aaron Rodgers, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, right? Aaron Rodgers, James Robinson, Aaron Jones. But here we go. Rodgers, Jones, Adams, Shark. Rodgers and Adams, Shark. Here we go. Right? So we built all these nice little game stacks. Here's a complete stack with Jones. Now, Jones, Robert Tonyan even made his way into one. Okay, fine. Now, what did I notice? Number one, let's take a look at our exposures because you got to see, all right, what did I just wind up with? 90% Aaron Jones, 100% Devontae Adams. So how much Aaron Jones do I want in my Aaron Rodgers stacks, right? I want some, but I don't want him in every lineup. So, or in all. So I'm going to set him 3% max. Now what's going to happen is when I rerun this again, I'm going to get 10 Aaron Rodgers lineups, all game stacked with Robinson and Chark. Half of them will have Aaron Jones. 100% of them will have Devontae Adams. Why 100%? Because I don't want an Aaron Rodgers lineup without Devontae. I just don't. It's that simple, right? So we just set up our first stack of the day. Now let's set up our most important. I just did that more of an example, but I don't mind having 10 lineups on Rodgers, I guess. My favorite player on the slate is Kyler Murray. And I love him. I love him naked. I love him dressed. I love him, however we can. He runs the football more than anybody else. So I want a lot of lineups built around Kyler Murray. So how are we going to do these? Oh, first of all, we've got to, you can't make more lineups than you have set up. So let's change this number to 35. We'll make 25 Kyler Murray lineups. I think pretty much most of these Kyler Murray lineups should be game stacked. So I'm going to do 25 game stacks, right? Now, the two players that we have available to stack with Kyler are Christian Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins, maybe both. On the Buffalo side, the ones I like most are Diggs and Brown, but Zach Moss and Gabriel Davis are both in play. Let's give these guys all a nice little correlation boost. Correlation boost. Do I blow Murray? I do like Murray a lot. I want him to make me money. If that's what you mean. We've never actually met in person. So, no, I didn't do that. Thoughts on McLaurin? I like McLaurin. Always a smash. New quarterback for him. We'll see how that goes. I'm always a fan of McLaurin, but I think he's priced high enough that he's not a priority play. There are other players in that zone that I like more. But I love Kyler Murray this week, as I've said over and over again. So here's what we're going to do. I set up a game stack. Let's just give this a run and see what happens. Four lineups tomorrow. Give me top 3 wide receivers I lock. I'm stressing over here, and I keep changing it because of some weather games. Forget the weather. Stay away from the weather games. You want great wide receivers tomorrow? Keenan Allen is great. Michael Thomas is great. Stephon Diggs is great. Deontay Johnson is great. There's no weather in those games. Let's play those. Why am I picking Jones? Why am I picking Jones? Jones is in the best matchup of the day. No love for Allen. I don't know who Allen is. Kareem. Josh Allen. No, I got love for Josh Allen. Man, come on, we haven't gotten to it yet. You want to play Luton on the road at the Packers? Just play Kyler Murray, man. It's easier. Don't play bad players. Play good players. Jacksonville, Green Bay, low-scoring game. Why am I picking Jones? I love Jones. Aaron Jones is in a great spot. Jacksonville, Green Bay, low-scoring game. There we go. John Brown. Yes, we like John Brown. So, love John Brown. Smokey. Sheriff John Brown. All right, let's take a look at what some of these lineups look like. First of all, we can just check our combinations tab. What are our Kyler Murray's lineups looking at? We made 25 lineups. Almost all of them have Hopkins, Diggs, and John Brown. And then you got some Hopkins, Diggs, some Hopkins, Christian McCaffrey, Stephon Diggs. All right, so I don't want Hopkins, Diggs, and John Brown in every single lineup, right? So let's control this a little bit. We're going to set him down at 24. We're going to set John Brown down at 15. We're going to leave these other guys as they are. And Hopkins, I do pretty much want Hopkins in most of these game stacks, but let's go 26. Christian Kirk, will leave him there. So let's run this again. Basically, what I'm doing is just massaging the results a little bit. Every time I run it, I look at the results. because I want to just get a sense of what's going on, right? Of course, we're getting all this Jakeem. All this is going to change. We're going to adjust everything. This is just the beginning stages, but I like to see who's popping, who's cracking. Okay, wow. Fucking Rams. You guys asked me to check off the Rams. I'm going to wind up with 77%. Hell no. Actually, let's set that to 7% max. I don't want to start building all these lineups and then it's assuming that we're going to get these crazy low plays. Now, here's a cool thing that we just added as well. Wow, I totally forgot about this. John Brown revenge game. I like the narrative. Yeah, against the former team. Check this out. If we look, oh man, no, you can't do that in server mode. Check this out. Show players exposure during optimization. Check this out. We can go back to seeing the exposures as we're optimizing, which is pretty cool. So we added back in that option as well, just FYI. That's the other option to the Domination Station that we recently just added. All right, let's continue adding stacks to our mix. Getting distracted. We got our Kyler Murray game stacks set up. Now let's do Josh Allen because he's one of my favorites as well. Want to load up on Josh Allen. This is also going to be, I think I'm going to do, we want to do game stacks and force one of these two. I don't think it's necessary. Let's do some Josh Allen lineups. Let's raise this number up to 60. We'll do 20 Josh Allen lineups. I prefer Kyler Murray to Josh Allen. Yeah, revenge games are all bullshit. You guys realize that, right? Like, unless you're Steve Smith Sr., a revenge game narrative is just bullshit. I think John Brown is in a good spot anyway, but it has nothing to do with the revenge game. He's just in a good spot. Nothing to do with the revenge game. Should we put Beasley in there? No, let's allow Beasley. He's sometimes he has a good game. We'll allow Beasley in there too. So Josh Allen, I'm going to force him with at least one of the players on his team. Do I pick players from low-scoring game like Jacksonville and Green Bay? I pick players that are in good spots, in value spots. Regardless, live odds show Jacksonville and Green Bay. Let's take a look. Jacksonville and Green Bay, 49 points. So if you want to say that that's a low-scoring game, okay. 49 points, one of the higher projected totals on the slate. And Richard, if you're confident that the game will score less than 49, because you got the caps lock on from the low-scoring game, right? So that means you're very, very confident that it's going to be a low-scoring game. You can bet it. It's right here. You can go on the live odds page, and when you click on here, you can get 49.5 points from Draftkings on the over-under. So you want to bet the under if you think it's going to score below 49.5 points. That's how you take those leans. Remember, I talked about this before. If you've got a lean, if you've got a hunch, Bobby Wow says play your hunch. If you got a hunch that it's a low-scoring game, you can bet it and make lots of money off of that. That's what we try to do around here. Make money off of our hunches. We don't just say shit. We play shit. All right. Correlation boost. What does that do? It's just a 30%. Actually, I'm going to change this. So this is, it's a good question, Killicam. And here's the deal. Correlation, look what happens. Watch when I click it. Look at the prices. Look at the numbers. What happened just now was a 30% boost in projection to every player tied to this quarterback. Now, I've discovered recently that 30% is probably too high. So what I will be doing in a future update to the Domination Station is changing the correlation boost from an automatic 30% to a user sets it correlation boost. Right now, you could just type in and actually increase the projections anyway, just on your own. But what we're going to do is actually allow the user to control it by allowing you to type in a number, because 30% is a lot. 25-mile-per-hour winds. Aaron Jones more than that. Yeah. Listen, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams went off the last 40-mile-per-hour wind game, but He didn't get a lot of yardage. Take a look at this. Okay. Remember Davante Adams went off in that game when it was supposed to be windy. Was it Minnesota? Was this it? Yeah. He only had 53 yards a couple weeks ago. He scored 3 touchdowns, still got 30 fantasy points, but he didn't do the crazy yardage totals like he did against Houston. So this Minnesota game was the last win game they had. He only got 53 yards. Of course, he scored 3 touchdowns because Davante Adams is a fucking beast. So he still kicks ass. It was 2 weeks ago. So this is it. This is the one I'm talking about. The Minnesota game. 11 targets, only 53 yards, 3 touchdowns. So it took 3 touchdowns for Davante Adams to get there in that game. And if there was ever a reason not to play Davante Adams, I mean, listen, is he going to score 3 touchdowns again? Maybe. They only like to throw to Davante, though. He's got a very high floor. They only throw to Davante. All right, Josh Allen. Anyway, 20 lineups. I'm going to game stat. Let's just set up team stacks here. I'm going to try to give them a little bit of a boost, but I don't necessarily want these guys in all these lineups. So I'm going to raise this up to 15.5. I'm going to raise up Stephon Diggs to 20. Wow, I can't believe he's at 21. That seems already like a lot. 23. There we go. We'll give Cole Beasley 13.5, and even Gabriel Davis. Let's put him at like 7.9. Just raising these up. And Zach Moss catches a touchdown every once in a while, so I'm leaving him in there. When building 80 lineups, how much for the milli do you reckon? I do primary and secondary, or yeah, I mean correlation is great. Don't only load up on correlation. Sometimes just let the tool do its thing. So overly correlating sometimes is a bad thing. Yeah, there we go. That's right. And the Millie Maker, Burns definitely focuses on that 49-point total is a good one. Yeah, basic correlation. Some games we can go a little higher. I'm going to tell you some spots where we can go higher. When a quarterback has absolutely no path. All right, let's explain the difference here. Kyler Murray and Josh Allen do so much with their legs. They have such touchdown equity just running them in that they don't need to produce 2 tournament-winning wide receivers in order to be in the nuts. Here's the difference. If we're going to talk about Jared Goff, if we're going to talk about Tom Brady, if we're going to talk about Matt Ryan and those type of guys, pocket passers, they will not get you the nuts with just one wide receiver. They need to drag 2 people with them. The only reason that Aaron Rodgers can sometimes pull it off is because he'll throw fucking 4 touchdowns to Davante Adams and like do one guy, he'll do enough. One guy, he'll do enough, right? That's the difference. With Tom Brady, if you play him, you basically got to play him with 2 guys. You can't play Tom Brady with just one. He's not going to produce a tournament-winning score and not have 2 of his pass catchers go off. With Jared Goff, who's the next guy on our list, you know what? Let's get a Jared Goff one going here because Jared Goff's really important on this slate. This is the next most important game, and we know that Seattle is a disaster. So let's do a Jared Goff one. Jared Goff needs to be with 2 of his players. Jared Goff needs 2 of his players, not 1. Why? Because he's not doing anything with his legs. So like I want to set him up max 2 players. Let's readjust our total number of lineups here so that I can do this. Let's go to 80, 90. Let's go to 90, right? And let me show you some Jared Goff lineups. I want a lot of Jared Goff lineups this week, right? So let's go 20. It's going to force Jared Goff with 2 of players from the same team. I'm not going to include Darrell Henderson in that mix because he's a fucking running back and he's not positively correlated with Jared Goff. If Jared Goff is throwing touchdowns, if Darrell Henderson is running for touchdowns, Jared Goff is not throwing for that touchdown. So let's give this a run. I will answer some questions. I love Josh Reynolds. I don't really play guys like Josh Reynolds on FanDuel. FanDuel doesn't require that kind of a play. Tyler Boyd, any love? Sure. I mean, I don't think I'm going to end up on Tyler Boyd, but I love Tyler Boyd overall, and he can go off in any game. He's not somebody I'm targeting this week special, but I like him all the time. Michael Thomas is one of my favorite plays on the slate across the board in all formats. I love Michael Thomas. I talked a lot about that on the Players Club today. I love Michael Thomas. Give him a shot, DG. Single game, a cash game. No, single game is like a tournament, but it's small. And you play very similar to your cash lineup, but not exactly. Cash lineup will be a very generic line. I could figure out what the generic cash lineup is. Usually by clicking optimize on the DOM, it's going to pretty much spit out what the cash lineup is for that week. Or just looking at the highest projected owned players, you're going to get a pretty good idea of what the I took off browser mode. What the hell did I do here? Yeah, I can't be doing it like that. What was I saying? Single entry, not single game. Single entry is what I refer to as 3 max or single entry, is a contest which is a tournament that rewards first place more than second place. So it's a tournament. A cash game doesn't reward first place better than second. It's the same prize if you finish first or if you finish 10th, as long as you're in the top half. That's a cash game. No reward for being better. No first place bonus. A tournament gives you a reward for first place. What I call single entry, what I refer to when I say those style of lineups, I'm talking about small tournaments with anywhere from 60, 50 to 300-400 entrants. That's where most of your money is made, and you wouldn't use the Domination Station for that per se. We're not building lineups for that type of thing right now. What we're building lineups for is mass multi-entry. It's not for. We're not going to build lineups for that. Yeah, cash games are double ups. They're head to heads. They're anything where there's no special reward for first place. If I'm in a 50-person double up, the top 25 double their money. I'm just as happy finishing 24th as I am first. No difference. That's a cash game. Yeah, Murray or Goff this week. I agree. But I will say this: I don't think Goff is a cash viable play. There's no reason. Tournaments, I love Goff. In cash games, you play Kyler Murray. Now, how many Goff lineups did I just make? I just made 20. Let's go to 25, actually. I really like Goff this week. So we go to 25. He's playing Seattle. Seattle produces the best scores against. Let's take a look at some of these Goff lineups real quick. Actually, let's give this another run here. Run it in the fast mode. Notice the difference in server mode versus browser mode. It was just running before. It was running all slow and shit. Now it's server mode. It's moving a lot quicker. So let's find a Jared here. All right, here's a naked Kyler lineup. This is pretty much the highest projected lineup of the day. So if you want to hey, I wouldn't play this in cash, but hey, what's kind of like a cashy lineup? I wouldn't play this, but there it is. McLaurin, Robbie Anderson, Jakeem Grant. This is the highest projected lineup we have. More what? All right. What are these lineups? These are the extras that I left over. These are unstacked. It's going to go right to Mike Davis. It's going to go right to all these guys. We haven't even gotten into the positions because we're still setting up our stacks. Now let's find some Jared Goff stacks. They're going to be towards the bottom, I would think. Looks like Aaron Rodgers stacks are the smallest. Here's some Jared Goff ones. There we go. So Goff, Reynolds, Cup, great. Now I didn't do a comeback. All right, let me get to some of your questions. I didn't do a bring back in the Goff stacks with Russell or any of them. I just chose not to. I think those players will pop in there on occasion anyway. Or what we can do if we want to do some that way and some the other way, check this out. Here's another little trick for the Dom. I did 25 and I'm like, well, maybe I want to do some game stacks and some team stacks. So let's leave it 15 team stack and add a rule. We'll do 10 more as a game stack. This is how you get this stuff going, guys. Goff, right? 10 more as a game stack. I want 25 Goff lineups. I'll do 10 just team stack. I'll do 15 as just a straight team stack, and then I'll do 10 as a full blast game stack with 2 players from the Rams, 1 player from Seattle. Do you have an opinion on positive correlation with Fournette and Tom Brady? I think there is some positive correlation between Fournette and Brady. Yes, because he's a pass catcher. Is Reynolds a good one-off? Yes, definitely. I love Reynolds this week. It's between him for the pay down. It's between him and Jakeem Grant as the best sort of cheapie. I could go either way. Fine with it. All right, new stuff on the Dom Station. I already talked about it a little bit, but the main things are this slider that allows you to cap projected ownership. So take a look again here, what I was showing you before. Total projected ownership, 155, 166. Notice these numbers, right? So what that cap will do, and I'm not setting it yet because this is something we only want to do at the very, very end. But look at some of these lineups, 155%, 159, 158, right? And part of that is because Jakeem Grant is actually incorrectly labeled at 0% ownership. That will get fixed in the next update or whatever. He's going to be a very high owned player. But so these numbers will go up and these will be like 170, 180. So let's say this is so chalky, and it is. This is not a lineup I really want to play. It's super chalky, right? A lot of high owned stuff here. Davis 50% and Jones high owned, and actually the rest of the lineup is pretty fine. But what I can do is I can set a cap and say, you know what? I don't want any lineups higher than 150% owned. So I can set this at 150, and you'll see my next run will limit total ownership under 150%. You want me to talk bad about the Smiz? I like Smiz. What my take about Al Smizzle is this. I got respect for that guy. Al Smizzle has been doing this as long as I have. He's one of the few people that started out as when I did at doing DFS and is still doing it and still plays a lot. So I have respect for that. He still plays a lot. Respect for Al Smiz. That's what I'm going to say about Smiz. I got respect for the fact that he still plays. Like, he's not just a personality, he still plays. And I started, again, around the same time in 2011, 2012. Here I am still playing. It took down a fucking MMA tournament tonight, motherfuckers. Still doing it. When you play tournaments, do times matter? I don't pay attention to it, Pretty Boy Suave. I don't pay attention to when the games are. I don't even know. Somebody asked me the morning game, the afternoon game. Henry Ruggs or Jakeem Grant? I'm going with Jakeem. Henry Ruggs is just too low volume for me. And Jakeem Grant is way cheaper. Again, that's Curtis. The main thing is this ownership projection cap. Force at least two players under 10%. I'm going to still adjust this. I want to be able to do this by position group. So this still needs a little bit of work. Once I saw it go in, I noticed that I need to control it by position group. I'm going to work on that. But what it does is exactly what it says. Force two players under 10% owned. I like Smiz. Congratulations. How much was the takedown? It was supposed to be 100K, but I tied with 23 other people, so I only wound up getting $8,000. It's kind of a bummer. Yeah. Tony, stick with me. You're going to see me build 150, and we can count the player pool and all of that. How about that? Stick around. We're doing the whole thing right now. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking and not a lot of building. So we just set up 25 Jared Goff lineups, right? 15 of them are team stacks. 10 of them are game stacks. We'll get some action from all of this. Kenyon Drake plays. He just sucks, and he ruins everything. Can't play Chase Edmonds. Can't play Kenyon Drake. He stinks. All right. Which defense should I start? Play any defense that you want. You want a cheap one? You want an expensive one? Am I confident in Goff? No. These are silly for the Millie tournament entries. I told you in the beginning, I'm confident in Kyler Murray. That's the guy who's the best play of the week from floor, from ceiling, from all points of view. Goff can go off in the best matchup that could possibly be. Seattle produces opposing Millie Maker winners every single week. I agree with your sentiments, Andrew. I agree 100%. All right, let's go back to what we're doing here. So let's add another stack in. First of all, let's count them up. We got 10, 25, 45, 50, 70, 80 lineups made so far. Remember, we're reserving about 20 to 25 naked Crowler. I'll call it 30. So let's call it 110 right now. That means we got 40 more lineups to create. Let's find another quarterback to build some lineups around. Now, I was going to play Deshaun Watson, but that Cleveland wind has got me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it. So let's get off of Deshaun Watson here and find somebody else to play. How about a little Herbert, right? I like Herbert. Let's do 10 lineups with Herbert. I think I want to do a game stack around Herbert. I like the Miami side a little bit as well. We're already going to get a lot of Jakeem Grant. Maybe I'd like to get some Devontae Parker. Mike Williams, probably going to be covered by Xavier Howard, which leaves Keenan Allen. So we're going to get Herbert and Keenan together in all of these lineups. And I'll get one of these three guys as the comeback. That's 10 more lineups done, right? Let's set our number here. Let's go to, we're at 100 and that was 120. Oh, 130. Okay. Let's add another one in. Some of you guys mentioned, all right, Tom Brady, right? Yeah, that's a Herbert one. So I'm going to run it in a minute, but I want to pop in a little Tom Brady here. Tom Brady's a good player, and I like Tom Brady. I want to go back to a point I made earlier. I want Tom Brady with two of his pass catchers. I don't believe that one guy is enough to carry Tom Brady. Now, the negative with Brady is he spreads the football around. It's possible that he smashes and none of these guys go off. But the play that we want is in case they do go off. And let's see who the game is. We're going to game stack this because the best case scenario for Tom Brady is also if the other team is scoring, he's scoring a little back and forth action. So I'm going to do a big time game stack here, right? It's going to be Tom Brady with two of his guys and two guys from the opposing team. That's about the biggest stack I'm ever going to do. But the reason I'm doing that is just because, yeah, I like Brown also. I really do. So actually, I have to jack up Brown's projection a little bit because he's just not going to show up in lineups if I don't. So I'm going to change him up to like 13.9 or something. I'm going to try to make sure he gets into some lineups. Mike Evans is my least favorite. Godwin looks like he's going to be in them. Lenny Fournette, I mean, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. Godwin, let's go to just move those projections up a little bit. I don't really see Tampa down. I think Tampa's going to own this game. I don't love this play, but it's silly for the Millie stuff. So if I'm going to play Tom Brady, I want to get big time with a massive game stack. All right, let's find another. Who's next, guys? Give me another quarterback that you want to stack up for these lineups. Let's go through the list. Drew Brees. I don't really generally stack Drew Brees. Actually, you know what? Let's use some DFS Army tools to find out who is a good stack. All right, this is the Statsational stack probabilities tool. What this shows is the probability of a pairing getting 60 plus fantasy points. We see a lot of the names that we already told. Oh, I forgot Russell Wilson. So we've got Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, of course, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Hopkins, Wilson, Metcalf, Wilson, Lockett, Murray, Kirk. So, we're already all over this group. Josh Allen, John Brown. Where's Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs? There, second one. So these are all the players we're already on. Herbert, Keenan Allen, Goff, Kupp. There should be another one, Goff, Woods, right? Brady, Godwin. You're seeing it. It's all right there. These are all the players that we've already been on. So I haven't missed anybody from this group except for Deshaun Watson because of the wind. Teddy Bridgewater. Robbie, all right. How about some Teddy Bridgewater? We could do a little bit of that. Carson Wentz. Mason Rudolph. What the fuck? Yeah. So it starts to get really gross down here. So there's no one else. I mean, we're not missing anybody. I'm not even seeing Carson Wentz or some of these other guys on here. So I think what we can do based on that list is we'll do some Russell Wilson lineups. That's going to be a game stack for sure. I want 2 and 1. Actually, no. I'm going to do Russell Wilson with 1. That's it. And here's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure it's not all Tyler Lockett. Actually, I got to see. I'm going to set a max on these guys. Yeah, I'm going to make sure it's not all Tyler Lockett by setting a max limit of 40% on Tyler Lockett so that it makes sure that the other 60% of the lineups go to DK Metcalf. No, Big Rape is playing. He is playing. He's fine. If Ben wasn't playing, we'd be all over that opposing defense, but he's playing. Miami defense, yeah, they're fine. Going up against a rookie. Anytime you're going up against a rookie quarterback, both of those teams' defenses are in play. Anytime a team is going up against a defense. All right, so I haven't even gotten to the point where we're controlling these stacks. There's a lot more to this, guys. So let me just give it a run and then count it up. Let's go 150. I think I'm hitting close to the max. Let me just count these up. 15, 25, 35, 45, 60, 80, 105, 150. Wow, I thought it was a lot higher than that. We're at 115. We're going to allow for like 25 Kyler Murray unstacked. This 120, 130, 140. So we got about 10 lineups left to allocate. All right, pick out one more player, guys. We got 10 more lineups to go. Let's see. All right, we'll do 5 Drew Lock. Let's pick out one more guy. Teddy Bridgewater. Let's do 5 Teddy Bridgewater. Is that fair? All right. Should definitely, yes, play Nick Chubb. Stafford with no, not going there. Not going there. Both of you guys say Stafford? 2 Staffords? With no Galladay? No. Hawkinson kind of hurt? I don't like it. All right, let's give this a run. I've got the ownership capped at 150, but the reality is actual Millie Maker winning lineups tend to actually be under 125%. Let's give it a shot at 125. Why'd it go to 130? Oh, it doesn't even want to allow me to go to 120. That means that's like lower than any one that we've generated. All right, let's see what happens. I haven't tried this yet. 150 with an ownership cap at 130%. I don't think Teddy's going to do good either. I might pull that one out. I was just doing it for demonstration purposes more than anything else. I just want to play Kyler in like every fucking lineup, to be quite honest. I don't even want to mess with it too much. All right, so I'm seeing here, we've got our ownership capped at 130. We haven't even gotten to like dealing with the players and dealing with ownerships and any of that yet. We're just setting up stacks. So at this point, we've got a bunch of stacks set up, right? All the players that we kind of want, a few players that I don't want. And then we've got 30 freestyle, just Kyler Murray at the quarterback position and whoever the hell else shows up, right? How do we do the Kyler Murray ones? Again, the Kyler Murray ones are free floating. I've got just like completely unstacked Kyler Murray lineups going. I don't normally do it, but if you just smash a like in the main player pool on Kyler Murray, that will ensure that pretty much every player, every lineup that you make, that isn't a Kyler Murray specific, like isn't one of the stacks that are designated here in the stack settings, will be Kyler Murray. Yeah, Saints defense, they're all good. So let's just take a look at what we're winding up with, because we haven't even controlled for our player pool yet. So we've got 33% Kyler. That's great. Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and then some light exposure to some of these other guys. And now the fun begins. Now the good times start. Now, one of the things I did was I set a max limit to the running back position of 20%. I don't love the running backs this week, and I love the wide receivers more. So you'll notice that I'm not getting that much of like any of these running. Even chalk Aaron Jones, Now, here's one problem. I've got 81% Mike Davis. He's an underdog running back. I get that the value is there, and we're absolutely playing him in cash. But I don't want to be, this is not an I want to be overboard with this guy in tournament situation. So I'm going to limit him to about 45%. DeAndre Swift, he's fine, but 10% play for me. Same thing for a Antonio Gibson. I don't want 21% of that guy. He's not that good. So I like Miles Sanders a lot more than what I'm getting. I don't understand why the fuck it's so low. So I'm going to raise him up to 19 fantasy points because honestly, my favorite pairing on the slate is Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders, not even Mike Davis. I like Miles Sanders more. So I like Mike Davis too. I don't think he can hurt us. But, Mike Davis might only get a 10. He might not be enough to take down the Millie Maker. So we're going to set a couple of limits there. Let's go position by position group here. Getting way too much Terry McLaurin, way too much DeAndre Hopkins, way too much Shaquem Grant, just too much. Way too much Cole Beasley. What the fuck? So I'm going to start to deal with that. We're going to adjust some projections and set some ownership limits. Terry McLaurin, I like him. I'll go over the market. 15% is fine. DeAndre Hopkins, I want him more exclusively in Kyler Murray stacks, not in those free-floating lineups. So what I'm going to do is significantly reduce his projection in the main player pool. Understand what's going on here, guys. Understand what's going on here. I want to explain it. Within the stack itself, DeAndre Hopkins, take a look. DeAndre Hopkins got a big projection. He's going to show up with Kyler Murray in these 25 Kyler Murray stacked lineups. I don't want DeAndre Hopkins in non-Kyler Murray lineups at all because if he's going off, Kyler Murray's going to smash. And I have so much Kyler Murray exposure. I don't want him infecting my other lineups with Corona. Got to put a mask on this guy. And how do we do it? We lower his projection in the main player pool, which is here, so that he just doesn't show up in non-Kyler Murray lineups. He's still projected at 26 anytime Kyler Murray's part of that lineup, but I'm not at 65%. I love a lot of these guys. Where's my boy? All right, so let's just start to deal with this. Where's my guy, Michael Thomas, one of my favorite players on the slate? Not showing up. It's because it's all the ownership's going to DeAndre Hopkins, all these other guys. So I'm making adjustments now to make sure that I get the players that I like more. This projection for Terry McLaurin is too high, so we're going to lower that. Robert Woods, I like him. Let's see what happens. Robbie Anderson, that's a little too high. We're going to lower that a little bit. Who's my favorite guy that no one's talking about every week? Deontay Johnson. Smash a love on that dude. I like Devontae Parker. These are my favorite plays. I'm going to just raise the projection a little bit. When these buttons, what they do, who's going to be guarding? These buttons, every one of these like, love, adore buttons is a 5% projection boost. That's what it does. It says it here. It's a 5% boost. Look, 5%, 10%, 15%. That's what that is. See the little 10%? That's what that is. -5, -10, -15. It's just a quick way to change the projection. Who's going to be guarding Hopkins? Yes. It's going to be Tre'Davious White, a very, very good defensive back. So we want a little Christian Kirk. This is part of the reason why I want to run a lot of Kyler Murray naked lineups. Kyler Murray can throw a touchdown to a tight end, a fucking random. He runs one in. He throws one to Chase Edmonds. He has a great game, but he doesn't produce a smash spot from any of his players. So I don't need him stacked in every single lineup. And White gets that's right. Don't be too scared of matchups. We're just going to pay attention to them. We're not going to let it rule our lives. So I'm just adjusting my player pool. I don't like what I'm getting. It's way too much Cole Beasley. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that. So I want more John Brown. I want more of these other guys. Let's give it another run. I've made a few adjustments already. Let's just see what's going on. How the fuck is Hunter Henry the most owned? I don't even like Hunter Henry this week. I mean, he's fine, but like, come on. Getting a lot of tight ends. Washington football team. Yeah, I don't mind that. Dolphins. Okay, I guess. I'm surprised I'm not getting as much Giants and Eagles. We'll see how that goes. Okay, let's run it again. I made a few adjustments. Yeah, Kyler can run into, same thing with Josh Allen. You don't want to sully every lineup. Like, these guys can spread the football around. Dan Arnold can catch a touchdown. Chase Edmonds gets one. Andy Isabella catches a deep bomb. Like, Kyler could go off, and DeAndre Hopkins didn't go off. And then you load it up with 50 Kyler Murray lineups, and none of them are in the nuts because everything's like the same pairing. It's Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. So you don't want that every single lineup. Here we go. We're getting more Miles Sanders. There we go. Okay. Now we're getting more Miles Sanders. Now we're getting more Aaron Jones. Raised up our exposure. Still getting plenty of Mike Davis, Duke Johnson. We're getting this whole group. All right, a little bit better. Okay. Now we're getting way too much Michael Thomas. Plenty of Diggs. We're getting a better mix of players here. Still a lot of Cole Beasley, though. The fuck is up with that? All right. The other thing we can do is take a look at our stack combinations tab. Now, what is this? Hooper's okay. Hooper's okay. I don't know if I hate the wind, by the way. I just, I don't know. The wind messes me up. I never know what to do. All right. Let's take a look. Aaron Rodgers, game stacks. We got Rodgers, Adams, and Robinson, Rodgers, Jones, Tanyan. That's a crazy stack with 3 players. I don't want too much of that. That's an insane stack. 1, 2. Kind of like it. But I don't like that much Robert Tanyan. So what I'm going to do is just lower that just ever so slightly. Surprised at how much he's showing up. I have a limit on someone? Yeah, it's because I set a limit on Jones, so it just wants to hammer out some Tanyan lineups. That's fine. This is because the boost is in play here. So let's actually lower that to, I don't want too much Robert Tanyan. All right, let's look at the next one. You got to go through each stack individually, kind of see what's going on. So in my Kyler Murray stacks, the most common one is Murray, Hopkins, Diggs, Cole Beasley. I'm getting a lot of Cole Beasley out of this stack, which is a problem, which means I need to go to my Kyler Murray game stack, which is probably correlated boosted as well. And oh yeah, that's why. So we gotta kind of deal with this number. He's way too high. We're gonna go to 14.5. That's better. Okay, that's why we're getting so much Cole Beasley. Correlation boost sometimes overdoes it. Diggs, Brown, Diggs, Beasley. This is a good mix, except for that one. But that's only one. Mostly Allen with Diggs, little Diggs Brown, little just Brown. Let's go back to the Josh Allen lineups. I think we need to lower Diggs a little bit down to 20.9. There we go. So just a little bit better mix in each of these stacks. Cup Reynolds, Cup Higby. You know what we're not getting in our Goff stacks? Any Robert Woods. How many uniques? Okay, that's a real question. I'm going to use 2 or 3 uniques. Generally 2 or 3. Depends on how many. For 2, probably 3. Yeah, I don't mind Beasley. I don't want him in every fucking lineup. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm lowering it. Who's the best tight end? I'm going to say Darren Waller. Do I like McLaurin? Yes. Woods. I agree. So why am I not getting any Woods? I don't know, but we gotta deal with that. I like Woods, and all of a sudden it's giving me all this Cooper Kupp. I don't like it. So why? Because Kupp is 19 and Woods is 16. So we're gonna deal with this by gonna reduce Kupp down 17.9. We go to 17 for Robert Woods. That should deal with that situation. Remember to zero out Darrell Henderson. He is not positively correlated with Jared Goff. And same deal we're going to do right here. We're going to lower this to 18. We're going to raise this up to 17.2. And let's see what happens there. It's going to force 2. I'm forcing 2 players. So I like Reynolds also. Let's see which they pick up. All right, what else? Got to go through each stack. You look at them and you're like, oh, okay. Let me limit this grouping or that grouping. This should all change. Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen. Okay, lots of Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert. I didn't play Mike Williams. How many uniques should you use for 20 lineups in the afternoon game? I'd go 2 to 3 uniques for the afternoon game. Afternoon slate, 20 lineups. More importantly than that, Killicam, afternoon slate, you're only making 20 lineups. Only use 2 quarterbacks. Take a stand. Only use Kyler. Yes. Tyler, good question. I try to adjust the projection first to adjust it on its own. Eventually, what I'll do is I can throw some max limits in. You don't want to throw too many max limits in there. It messes everything up. So it's better to adjust the projections first. If you put in too many max limits, it just stops making lineups. Because what will happen is you don't understand what happens. Let me explain. Let's say I do a forced 2. And I try to set max. People just screw this up all the time. This is Brady with 2, right? And I'm like, oh, I only want 50% Godwin. And I don't want too much Mike Evans, 40%. And oh, yeah, this guy. And I start setting all these different, all of a sudden. So it's using 2 of these guys. And all of a sudden it runs out of players or it has to go to a really shitty player. So you don't want to do too much of that. Should I stack Hunt and Chubb? That is a very bad. I would not do that. One or the other. There have existed times when both went off, but that was when Kareem Hunt was cheaper. Kareem Hunt is priced up like a starter. So you're not getting Kareem Hunt for the backup player discount. You're paying starter money for him. I feel like this person is like, do we play on like League of Legends? Is that what's up? It's League of Legends. I see your anime. I see it. Hunt has done better with Chubb in the lineup. Henry has been mediocre. Yes, he has. I don't want a lot of Henry. What the fuck is he doing in all these lineups? I lost my train of thought. Hunter Henry. I don't like Hunter Henry that much, but he only showed up. Oh my God, Hunter Henry in 50%. So that's no good. So let's go to the Herbert lineups. Why the fuck would I want Hunter Henry in 50% on my Herbert lineups? I don't even like Hunter Henry. So we're gonna raise up Keenan Allen 21. He's the guy I want. Hunter Henry, I'm gonna lower to 10. And here's another thing I'm gonna do. Let's add Mike Williams back. I don't think Mike Williams is a good play this week because he's going to have a very tough matchup. But in the stack itself, I don't mind it because what matchups don't really matter all that much. In the end of the day, they don't matter that much. And you might say, well, why the hell do we even look at matchups and everything if they don't matter? I don't know. But they just don't. So I don't mind a little bit of Mike Williams in these lineups. Yeah, don't use a lot when you're making just 20, Cam. Don't use a lot of quarterbacks. You're spreading too thin. I'm making even now 150. I'm only using 5 or 6, and I'm mainly take a look at what I'm doing here. I'm mainly using mostly just like a few quarterbacks: Murray, Goff, Allen, Wilson, little Rodgers, a little Herbert, but I'm mostly using just a few. And this is for 150. Yeah. I don't care. Well, here's the deal. Like with Mike Williams, it takes 1 or 2 passes, 2 catches, touchdowns. He smashes the slate. And I'm not using him in like non-Herbert lineups, but if the Herbert lineup has him, okay. For some reason, when I add another QB for a stack for 25 lineups, I'm just getting more Kyler. Look at what you're doing. Make sure you're doing what I'm doing. But maybe the DS is telling you that you should be using more Kyler. You're probably setting max limits all over the place or doing something that's causing a problem. I'm telling you, don't use the max limits everywhere. Be sparing with that. All right. So one of the things I was just doing, I'm showing, we're still not even really, we're still just going through our stacks, adjusting them, massaging them, tweaking them, little tweaks. Little tweak. 25 Kyler stacks. I add in 25 more for Goff, but some reason it's adding another 25 for Kyler. Are you doing these type of stacks, correlated stacks, number 1? Number 2, have you changed the number of lineups you're creating from 25 to 50? Those are the two things. Got to change the number of lineups. Make sure you're doing these kind of correlated stack. If it ain't happening for me, it shouldn't happen for you. I'm doing this live. I'm on the same tool that you're using. It's the same shit. All right, so here we go. Going back to the player pool now. I've looked at my combinations a little bit. You got to go through this. You got to go through it. You got to look at it. Go through it all. Right, now that we looked at it, it's like, okay, Lockett, Metcalf. I don't want this Hollister lineup. I'm going to zero this out. I'm not using a Russell Wilson with fucking only Hollister. Okay, we've got Lockett, Metcalf, Hollister I zeroed out, Lockett. You can zero out. If you don't like a stack, you can zero it out right here. Drew Lock with Noah Fant, I'm going to zero that out because I actually only want Drew Lock with Jerry Jeudy. Teddy Bridgewater, Anderson, Davis. I don't like it. So Anderson, Davis, DJ Moore, Anderson, Davis. All right. So we need some Curtis Samuel in there. Let's just raise him up. I actually think if Teddy Bridgewater's having a big game passing, Mike Davis will probably have a good game too. And at least 2 for sure. All right. Let's give it another run. This is how you work the Dom station, guys. The next thing I'm going to do, now that we've set up all of our game stacks, and we've kind of gone through them a little bit, and we've looked, all right, make sure we get a nice mix of those players, some game stacks, some team stacks. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to adjust your just general player pool. Cash lineup. M. Andrus is asking, Murray, Davis, Diggs, Kirk, Reynolds, Gesicki, Hopkins, Dolphins. No. Gesicki, not a cash play, but he's fine to play, but not a cash play. That's number one. You don't want in cash games, you don't want a Murray, Kirk, Hopkins triple stack. No need. We just play the value in cash games. You don't want this. No. This is not a cash lineup. This is a tournament lineup. This is a massive game stack with Murray, Diggs, Hopkins, Kirk, and it's a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 1 wide receiver for the other team. That's no. Aaron Jones should be in your cash lineup as your RB2. I don't even see an RB2 here. I assume he's there. That's the other guy. But no, Kirk is not a cash play at all. That's not a good cash lineup. That's a good tournament entry. Single entry tournament. Don't use that in cash. Yeah, there you go. Even Chaotic Melody knows. So we've run a bunch of lineups, guys, right? Now you start to say, all right, what can I do? Like, am I too chalky here? 81%. Look at my ownership percentages, by the way. Look how great this is. 110, 125, 108. We're not getting these high-owned lineups. What did I set it to? 130? Can I set it any lower than that? It's just weird that it does that. Oh, switch DK Cash to Murray. All right, Killicam, good question. So here's the deal, Cam. I'm going to explain this again. You don't really need this force at least 2 because pretty much I'm going to have to modify this almost every quarterback and every defense, and there's just so many players below 10%, it doesn't really work. What I'm going to do is allow this to be per position group. I like the idea of not having more than 1 wide receiver projected for more than like 15% ownership. Keep my wide receiver ownership low. But for now, the main change that you should be using is the projected ownership cap. And what this does, we've discovered in looking back on Millie Makers over the years that the vast majority of top 10 finishers in the Draftkings Millie Maker contest, which is essentially a mirror image of all massive tournaments, has between 85 to 125% total ownership. Man, the blue moon's not happening for the streak. Late night, we'll be smoking later. We don't do the blue moons. Not for late night. Hey, my man, what the fuck do you do for work that you just got off? Like, no one should have to work to this time. I feel bad for you on a Saturday, unless you're bartending at like an awesome club and there's hot chicks. I hope that's what you do. Like shirtless bartending. Brandon does shirtless bartending. But it's all dudes at the club. All right, where was I? So let me show you how we. All right, Killicam. So we've discovered that most tournament-winning lineups come in ownership between 85 to 125%. I fucking knew it. He's a fucking bartender with hot chicks all over the place. I knew it. All right, if I set projected ownership cap, do you still need to use randomization? Yeah, they're two different things. Randomization is something I'll only use for the last run. Like, let's say I've got my shit perfect. I might throw on like just a little 5% randomization for shits and gigs, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. I don't use a lot of randomization, but it has nothing to do with the ownership projection cap. The ownership cap is all about making sure that our lineup isn't too chalky to take down a contest with 100,000 people in it. If it's too chalk, it's just not going to take it down. That's the whole thing. Now, I haven't even shown. So that's the new tool. That's the primary Killicam. That's the primary thing that you need to think about of what we built. Because the Force, at least, I got to be honest, I saw it, I used it, and then I realized, oh shit, every fucking quarterback or most of the quarterbacks and the defenses are all under 10%. So those shouldn't be included. So I'm going to do a by position group thing here, a modification. I got a modification in mind. Listen, I build these things and then I see, and then I'm like, oh yeah, oops. Now you could just use 3 players under 10, and that just removes some chalk from your lineup. More importantly, the total projected ownership cap is a better measure. So again, let's go back to each position by position. Now I'm going to start to just set max limits here. How much Aaron Jones am I comfortable with? I don't know. Let's say 40%. I want to be above the field. Field is going to be 31%. It shows me the ownership of the field. Same thing with Miles Sanders. Do I want 53% Miles Sanders? Hell no. No, I don't want 53. So what I'm going to do is I'll double the field and I'll go 33%, right? Because the field says 16. So I'm going to double the field on that. Duke Johnson, I think he's a fucking turd. I've got to be honest with you. I don't think it's a great play. So I'm going to go below the chalk. Go 15%. Understand the difference? He's going to be chalk. I think he's probably not a very good play. So I'm going to go below the market. Let's move on to some of the other position groups and see what's popping too much or too little. Now, DJ Moore is 41%. I don't know what's up with that, but I don't like it. So let me see what's going on with DJ Moore. Too high of a projection. I like DJ Moore, but I don't like him not that much. Okay, so we're going to start to adjust some of these ownerships down a little bit. Curtis Samuel, that's too much of that. It's amazing how much these guys are just showing up on their own. Josh Reynolds popping. I like him. Terry McLaurin is fine there. Anderson Beasley again. Still, I don't know how this guy is still showing up this much. We're going to have to keep adjusting him lower. I want more Brown than Beasley, and yet for some reason I'm getting more Beasley than I want. That means that these stacks are still having issues, and I've got to adjust it. I am not down with 2 tight ends almost ever. Do with that what you will. It is too much. Is David out? David Johnson is out. Yeah. Come on, man. David Johnson's out. River Rat wants more Robinson. We'll see what happens on the next run. We'll see what happens. We're just making lineups. But I'm getting way too much Cole Beasley. I don't want more than like 5% Cole Beasley. You know what? I can control it. Oh, The fuck are you doing here, Gage? Don't you work? Don't you work? Just looking through the ownerships, the exposures. I'm not in love with this yet, so we're gonna have to keep adjusting. D. Ron Waller, D. Wizzles. I'm pretty good with this. Let's see the defenses. Yeah, I don't want 28% Washington. I like Washington. Let's, we'll allow them for 10%. Dolphins, we'll give them 5%. Saints, we kind of like the Saints this week, guys. Yeah, okay. They're projected very high. I want to be under on that. Lions, yeah, okay. I'll play a little bit of Lions here. Eagles, I like. Giants, I like more. Let's get a little more of these other guys. Okay. Ready for another run? Let's do it. Auburn, you missed it. Earlier today, I did a live stream. After I won my my MMA contest, I told everybody if I won it, I do a live version of Biggie Smalls Get Money. So I rapped it. It was ridiculous. And I realized my freestyling skills have gone down the basement. I suck at it. I used to be able to freestyle. I'd just be like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I just bust out like a freestyle rap. I can't do it anymore. I used to sit around with my friends in Brooklyn freestyling all day. That's just what we did. We'd be like, "Yo, freestyle rap." I can't do it anymore. I want to get a little more of these guys who are going to be lower owned. So I'm hoping that I get more and more of them. I'm going to just limit even Mike Davis a little bit more. I like Mike Davis tomorrow, so I'm going to get a lot of that. But, I'm going to limit that a little bit more. I don't love Kamara to where I want over the field. So we'll do a little bit of adjustments here. All right. Give me your shitty ass stack, Auburn. Your shitty ass stack. I definitely wrapped Big E. Who is your shitty ass stack? There's a reason you're not part of the NFL team. It's probably because whatever this crapola stack you're about to mention is. Austin Hooper, Wind. Just adjusting. So now I'm going to start adjusting my ownerships by just literally adjusting some of the max exposure limits on these guys. Like, there's no way I want that much Tyler Higbee. I like Tyler Higbee, but I don't love him. I'll take a couple of percentage points of exposure. This is not a bad stack. That's not bad. That's not a fireable offense right there. I like Tua. No, yeah. No. I like Tua. So that's fine. Tua is going to have a breakout game one of these weeks. I want to be involved, and it's the perfect opportunity against the Chargers. So, yeah, I like that stack. I'm good with that. I'm good with it. No fire. No fire for that. No fire. Still work here. Could still work here. Guys, keep the questions coming, but for all intents and purposes, all I'm doing right now is I'm at the part where I'm adjusting just my exposures. I'm not going to have 50% of Michael Thomas as much as I like him. I want to be over the field. If the field is going to be 11.5% on him, I'm pretty comfortable being like 25%, for example. Tyler Lockett is a guy that burns my lineups more often than not. So one of the things that I do with a Tyler Lockett is I lower his projection in the main player pool so that he really only shows up in like Goff or Russell Wilson stacks. No, you don't get a hell no. I don't mind the Tua stack. As a matter of fact, I might add that to my mix here. Don't listen to the DS, man. Listen to me. Listen to me. Play Goff, but not over Kyler. Kyler is the better play. Goff is great. We're going to stack him. I got a lot of Goff lineups, but Kyler is the guy. Kyler is the guy every single week. You're going to see it. You're going to learn this. He runs for 100 yards. He scores a touchdown rushing every week. And he throws for 250 yards. Like what more? Kyler is Goff plus a running back. Why wouldn't I just take the Goff and a running back together? That's the issue. I love Michael Thomas, man. I loved Christian McCaffrey last week, and I love Michael Thomas this week. Same idea. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adjusting it. Like, am I going to have 55% Jakeem Grant? Hold on, guys. Am I going to have 55% of this fucking 3K turd? Should I have 55% of him? That much exposure? Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no. Can somebody tell Keg to put a damn ownership projection on Kareem Grant, please? Well, he's going to be a chalky cash play, right? How much tournament exposure do I want? I don't know. Let's call it 20%. Getting too much Stephon Diggs. Again, this is a guy who's showing up in a lot of my stacks, so I'm going to lower his projection outside of the stacks. That's what I'm doing. In this player pool, this is outside of your stacks. I'm going to lower it. Josh Reynolds, I kind of like him. Not going to lower it. Sorry. Now I'm starting to get a mix of players that I like a little bit more. John Brown, there we go. Keenan Allen, I like him. All these guys. So I like Robert Woods quite a bit. I'm actually going to raise him. I like him. Like, I love him this week. Devontae Adams, man, that's pretty low. For a guy who can break the slate, I'm going to raise that up a little bit. We're getting there. I'm feeling pretty good already about where this is going. So, dude, I will always do that. Yes. Yes. At me, bro. Chief ST. I want to do that. Take it out of your salary when I fucking take your money. I feel bad. Ramsey locking one of them fools the whole day. And yeah. Which one, though? Which one? They say he's be on Lockett. Is he going to be on Metcalf? I don't know. He'll be on one of them. I don't know which one. That's why you can't mess with it. Like, you start to run away from matchups, then the guy isn't even on the guy that you thought. So you can't worry about that too much. Devontae Parker, I like Devontae Parker. I don't love him. Here's what's funny. Every time you make an adjustment, notice what happens. People ask why you got to run the Dom station like a lot of times. And this is why. Every time I make an adjustment on one player, somebody else gets more. So now I've got to set a limit on this guy, right? I like Devontae, but I want him about double the field, 20%. I love Deontay Johnson as well. I want him a little over double the field because I love him even more, 25%. You know what I mean? Like Cooper Kupp, he's a fine play, but he's more of a play in those Goff lineups. Do I really want to load up on him outside of the Goff lineups? No. So I'm just going through each of these and making adjustments. Curtis Samuel, I like him to pop, but I don't like him in more than 9 or 10% of my lineup. So these are the things, the adjustments that we make. And what this is going to do is cause more every time I set a max limit on one of these guys, especially guys that aren't heavily involved in stacks. What happens is it's just going to give me more player exposures, kind of lower my overall exposure situation. By the way, Auburn, I just want to make sure that you are using Tua in this stack, in this lineup. Because if you are, I'm willing to raise it and give you odds. Think about it. I'll give you plus 120 if you promise to use Tua in the lineup. I'll give you plus 150. Is this fair, guys? He's been smashing single game lineups. I'm going to give you plus 150. So on top of the head-to-head $20, if that's what you want to do, I will pay you an extra 10 if I lose. PayPal, direct. But you have to use Tua as your quarterback. It's worth it. Getting plus 150 odds. Let me know. Running back, J.D. McKissick. Yeah, right. Hold on.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Listen.
It's a no to J.D. McKissick, guys. I'm gonna make some Tua lineups. Yeah, I'm gonna add him in. I like Tua. For the silly for the millie. Jerry Jeudy over Devontae Parker. No, I prefer Parker personally. There's no one else for Tua to throw to, so I just think Parker. I like Jeudy also, but I just think Parker is a lock for like 8 or 9 targets. And if Tua has a good game, he should have a very good game. Yeah, and in tournaments, yeah. Are we doing this? Plus 150 odds I'm giving you. So whatever the amount is of the head-to-head, if you win, I'll send you another 50%. But you got to use Tua. I'm going to let you know right off the bat. I'm using Kyler. Make it easy. We'll make it so easy for you to take all my money. I'm using Kyler. Josh Reynolds. I don't want 45% Joshua Reynolds. So what I will do here is set a limit as well. Usually the best way to deal with this initially is to lower the projection. So let's go to 9.5. That should help. Again, DJ Moore, a guy I like, but I don't love. 12% is fine. Anderson, also about a 13%er. I'm starting to get ownerships way more where I want them. I don't like to have too much of any wide receiver. No. Any lock on defense? No. There's no defense that I love, but I will tell you this, DFS little monster. I find myself clicking on the Giants and the Eagles a lot. That seems to be the place where my finger keeps clicking. Brandon Cooks. Don't ask me about win games, bro. I'm bad at these. I'm bad at figuring it out. I'm going to admit it. I'm bad at the wind, the weather. It disagrees with me. So I don't know. I'm not going to give any advice on weather games. I've always been wrong. I know my weakness. I'm not good with figuring out these weather games at all. Yeah, here we go. Now I'm starting to get the defenses I like. Okay, not so much the Chargers. I'm going to limit them, but I'm starting to get the defenses I like. A little bit of Raiders is fine. I don't want that much. I'm going to go 5%. But the Giants, a little more Washington, a little bit of this. I'm liking this a little bit more. Eagles, I like a lot. So Giants are so bad on offense. You got to play whoever they're playing against on defense. Getting Goddard, getting a little bit of these guys. I got to adjust that tight end player pool a little bit. Even at 9.4, this guy is fucking popping like crazy. That's crazy. I'm not playing that much of him. I can't believe it projected so low. I like the running back group. Now, Darrell Henderson can go off out of nowhere, and it's like, hey, I had him. No weather. I don't want to know about the weather. Only that wind. I'm going to avoid wind. But, rain and a little bit of wind, whatever. It's a lot of wind that we want to avoid. All right. I'm starting to lose my steam. So, guys, if there's no more questions, what I hope that we accomplished here is mainly just showing how to just set up the DOM and also start to tweak it. You got a lot of tweaking to do. Look what's happening, though. I actually want to show it one last time. I want to show what's happening. First of all these great like Kyler Murray lineups, all very beautiful. They're unstacked and whatever. But look what's happening. I've been adjusting the player pool a little bit and just getting like a better and better mix of all these different players. Like now I'm going to limit Josh Reynolds to like 18%. I tried to work it with the fantasy points. It's not going down. So that tells me I've got to do it with a max exposure limit. we set these max exposure limits on these players, and it just basically spreads out exposures really well. I don't want 20% of Godwin. He's more of like a 12%er. People always ask me, like, how do you know how much of a player to play? Auburn thinks I'm fucking checking DMs right now. I'm in the middle of a live stream. I'm working. I'm in a live stream. I'll check it later. Don't worry. I'll take your head to head. I'll take your money. I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. Here's the deal. Look what I'm doing here. I've been adjusting and tweaking and twerking and doing all this stuff. And what's happening is I'm like, all right, starting to get a mix of players that you're happy with. I don't want to be too like loaded with any one player. And when I start to see a player like that I don't really love, that I'm popping too much of, I'm going to set a limit on them. If I see a player that I kind of like, but I'm not getting very much of, I'm going to raise them up a little bit here. And I'm just going to keep tweaking away, twerking away, doing all that stuff until I get this mix where I want it. Jalen Rager's a guy I like a lot. Like, why isn't he showing up? So I'm going to raise that. Brandon Ayuk is a guy I like a lot. So, I got a lot of work to do. I don't even know what you're talking about. Dark sky with the what is that? Is that a weather site? Debo is not back. No. Bourne is back. Bourne is not a hog of the ball, and Kittle's out. So not Debo. Bourne is back. Not the same. Yeah. So as you're seeing, again, this is a really long live stream. No one's ever going to watch this, but the people who are watching it live, which is great. But again, what I'm doing, this is how long it takes, really. There's a little added in chatting during the thing, which makes it more intense. But overall, what's happening is, we're just setting up our lineups, we're tweaking, we're adjusting our projections, and eventually we'll get to a player pool that we're comfortable with. Somebody asked earlier how many players. 150 lineups, 78 players. Sounds about right. Usually that's where I'm at. About 70 players for 150. Yeah, McKinnon's fine. I mean, I don't love the matchup, but he's fine. J-Rock McPwinnen. All right, guys, I'm going to end it right here. That's a big-time long live stream. Lots of questions were answered. Hopefully this helps everybody. I want to see those helmets taking down tournaments. Of course, you got the new ownership cap. Pretty sweet. Not going to get too chalky with our lineups. So here we go. Murray, Jones, Sanders. Okay. Davis, I like. Grant, Allen, Diggs. You did it. I don't love, by the way, I just want to do this again. I don't have a hell yeah song. I think Jakeem Grant is cash viable. I actually think you can play him. For 3K, I think you can play him in cash. Jakeem Grant. I like Josh Reynolds a little bit more, but I think Jakeem Grant you could play. What do I think about Shepard? All right. He's fine. He's fine. Call your Sirius producer and tell them, why isn't the Geek on SiriusXM Fantasy? Like, if you've seen the Geeks Vegas Line show, if you've seen the Bold Call show, I literally did a whole routine about Borat and like a bloody vagine. Like, who does that? That should be seen by millions. What do we say in the beginning, Adrian? Play your hunch. Play it. Play Breeze and Michael Thomas. Play your hunch. Who are the sleepers? I don't know. Deontay Johnson? All these guys, all the players that you see here, they're all good. I'm going to keep adjusting this. So we're just getting started. That look, I made an adjustment to Judy, and now he's 21%. Like he was nothing, and now he's 21. I don't want him that much. So I have a lot more work to do here. I'm not done by any stretch. And guys, I hope those of you stuck around here don't think like this was like, hey, I just gave you the formula for $1 million tomorrow. These lineups that we just set up here, I'm going to make some changes. I'll throw in here, there. I'm nowhere near done. These are our lineup. This is my work, and I will continue to do it. But I spend hours and hours tweaking these. I may wind up making 300, not 150. The idea of this was to show you how to do it, show you the process of setting up the lineups, show you how to tweak it, how to adjust each thing. I don't think that Luton is good. No, not on a Kyler Murray slate. Grant is a fade for me. Wait, why? Give me a reason. Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins hasn't been balling. Has he been balling? He got like one catch. Yeah, Sideswipe, who has taken down tournaments multiple times, starts setting up on Thursday. He's not done until Sunday. This is how NFL is very involved. By the way, Sideswipe, the MMA lineups I made today, and this is why NFL is so different from other sports, and it's really it's a labor of love, NFL, because the MMA lineups I made today, and it took down the tournament, I did that in like 40 minutes. A, our tool is so awesome for MMA. It makes it like super fast and easy. But B, you know, NASCAR, MMA, the tournaments pay the same, but they're so much easier to win at. I don't know why. There's fewer players. The difference is I won the MMA contest 100K to first, but I tied with all these people. In NFL, there's no such thing as a tie. You win it, you win it. You take it all. So that's the big difference. I mean, I won what, 15 League of Legends tournaments when the Corona stopped all the other sports, but it was almost always a tie. I never solo anything. Watson Fuller is fine if you aren't afraid of the wind. I am, so I will not play it. I'm just going to skip it. If it goes off and that's the one that I should have played, I'll accept it. But because I have Kyler Murray and Jared Goff in those games, I don't really need to force that other one. I mean, I feel like it's too silly. But if you're going to play this Duke of Trey, you must play Devontae Adams in that lineup. Like, it is an absolute must. The only reason you play Luton, if the Jaguars are scoring, then Devontae Adams is gonna fucking go nuts. So think about if you're watching that game, right? And you have Devontae Adams, and the Jaguars score twice before the Packers even do anything. Are you panicking? No. You're like, oh yeah, now the Packers are down. Oh fuck, Devontae's gonna go nuts. So you know that when you're watching the game, why don't you know that when you're building the lineup? Like, if you're building the lineup around the Jaguars, which I don't recommend, it's fine. Anything silly for the Millie could work, but I don't recommend it. But if you're doing it, make sure that you're really thinking, oh yeah, if these guys are scoring, Devontae's going to be scoring too. Jones okay, but Devontae definitely. So I've learned a lot. People love rules and showdowns. Showdowns, sometimes the rules rule you out of a win. A lot of times. More rules, not that great. I like rules, but sometimes it's too many rules on the showdown. It's going to rule you out of winning. So be careful with that. Are you adjusting the chalk players? I'm not sure how you know what percentage you have. I'm looking at, all right, I don't always know DFS Little Monster. I'm just kind of going off a gut a little bit. But yeah, you should definitely have Davis exposure. Absolutely. Davis is in a bad matchup, but a workhorse pass catching running back at 4K, yeah, you should definitely have a lot of that. I'm looking at the little monster, little DFS monster. I'm looking at the projected ownership as my guide, and I'm saying, all right, do I like this player more than the field? If I do, I don't mind going 2 or 2.5 times the field. This number, the projected ownership, is the field. Sometimes I say, all right, I like him, but I like him like the same as the field. So I can go like 10 or 15%, or 8. This guy's 8.9, so I might go 10%. Keep my field. I might say, hey, I want to be overexposed to him compared to the field, but 15% is enough. So the idea is, I don't need on a player that's going to be 3% owned. I don't need to go 100%. I just need to be higher than the field to give myself a chance that if that player does go off, he'll be in enough lineups to hopefully affect me to the point where it could push one of my lineups into tournament winning location. Mike Davis is not 6.7K. He's 6.7K on the afternoon slate or the morning, whatever slate that came out later, which tells you that's the correct salary for him. So on the main slate where you're paying 4K, it's a fucking screaming bargain and you better play him. I already put out on Twitter, if you like Auburn, for example, probably not going to use Mike Davis in his cash lineup that he's going to play against me. I already said, if you don't play Mike Davis in your cash lineup this week, I will hunt you down and fucking grab all of your head-to-heads forever. And you're going to just know me. And you're going to be like, that motherfucker is haunting me. He's hunting me until you ban me. You're going to have to type my name in on DraftKings like, don't allow this person, Chief ST, to ever take my head-to-heads. You get like 20 bans on DraftKings, and you're going to have to put my name in there. That's what happens if you don't play Mike Davis in your cash lineup. Yeah, in the other slates that open later, his proper price is 6.7K. So we got a little gift that he's 4K in this other one. Play him. He's also not high owned. Look, he's not even that high owned. So like, yeah, play this dude. I'm most likely either going to use Jakeem Grant against Auburn or Jeremy Reynolds from the Rams. It's going to be one of those two, most likely in there. If I could figure out a path to getting Deontay Johnson and 2 stud wide receivers in there as well, I might do that. And what I might do is I might play a wide receiver in the flex instead of Duke Johnson. Wait, who else would I recommend with Luton, Shark, Robinson, Adams, Davis? I mean, you could play Jones in that lineup, but I mean, I'm not going to make a lineup for you. It's already unique. Hammer it out. Make it all the way. I prefer Ingram to Ebron quite a bit. Vision, YouTube. Yes. This is what I'm talking. I'm going to fucking hunt you down, Auburn, and take all your head-to-heads. You're going to be the target of abuse. You're going to have to fucking file an abuse claim with DraftKings against me. This guy keeps taking all my head-to-heads. David Moore's fine. I think David Moore is the worst. I'd rather play Jakeem Grant or Reynolds over David Moore. David Moore gets the lowest volume. Cash game. Yeah. He's going to have to file a claim against me on DraftKings. All right, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Leave me the fuck alone. Enough. Go do your shit. Good stuff. I hope this helped everyone. I got more work to do. But I hope this helps everybody set up their lineups for tomorrow, or at least get a better understanding of how to use this tool, Domination Station. Do an early slate, do a late slate, do an afternoon. It's easier, fewer games. Do those. Do the 2-game slates. It's all easier stuff. One of these times, I got to show you the other stacking system, which is also great. You don't get a spot in the podcast, but if your lineup wins and you use the DFS Army avatar and you take first place in a contest, you get some swag. That's worth it. All right. Take care, everybody. I got to get out of here. Good luck tomorrow.